Good afternoon, everyone. The moderator of the session, Dr. Sharma, dignitaries of the dais, industry captains, and doyens of downstream and midstream oil and gas industry, ladies and gentlemen. I think I am the only one from the upstream sector currently in this hall, and what I'll be sharing with you today is mainly from an exploration angle. At the outset, I would like to thank Messe Frankfurt for having me here, and it's an absolute delight and privilege for me to be standing amidst you and sharing my thoughts on the theme, Natural Gas, Envisioning the Future Beyond 2050. Let me share a few facts with you all. You know, oil and gas have they are finite resources. It's not that they can be replenished. They were formed millions of years ago, and they are stored in the womb of Mother Earth in certain containers, what we call as reservoirs. So the reservoirs are the hosts where the oil and gas is found. So as an explorationist, our job would be to find out where this oil and gas is found and how much is the quantity of oil and gas. That's the starting point of entire business. If you see our country, and you all know that all this oil and gas is found in the sedimentary basins. India has around 3.36 million square kilometers of sedimentary basinal area, out of which the basinal area has been appraised to almost 72%. Just mark these figures which I am sharing with you. 72% of the Indian sedimentary basin has been appraised. When I say appraised, I mean that some sort of geological or geophysical data exists in those type of basins, whether it could be seismic data or it could be well data. Explored to the close roughly around 10%, and presently operationally active only 10%. So what it boils down to is, out of 3.36 million square kilometer, that is 33 lakh square kilometer, we have only 10%, that is 3 lakh square kilometer where currently active exploration is going on in our country. So with this, you would acknowledge the fact that a lot of potential still remains, and this potential of oil and gas, which is still yet to find, is actually the quantum which, as an explorationist, we need to determine. You know, if you see the prognosticated resources of our country, that is oil and gas, is to the tune of 42 billion tons of oil and oil equivalent. This study was carried out in 2015 and 16. And 2015-16, there were a lot of path-breaking and transformative policies which were ushered in by the government of India, because after the Paris climate deal in 2015, it was envisioned that oil and gas is going to have a limited future. And because oil and gas is considered to be a polluting industry, because the greenhouse gases emission was continuing, we already had the emission levels, and all those, India also submitted the nationally determined contributions and all. But at that time, our sedimentary basins were very poorly explored. So government undertook data-driven exploration. As I told you, out of this 41.8 billion tons, that is the unrisked figure, only 12 billion tons has been discovered in our country of oil and gas. Further, there was an exercise which was carried out on behalf of Government of India by Directorate General of Hydrocarbons, where this figure was revised, and current figure stands as of now is around 25 billion tons of oil and oil gas equivalent. That is the risk figure. Now, when I'm saying 25 billion tons, it is roughly 50% oil and 50% gas. 48, 51, 48, 52 is the actual, but मैं उसको 50-50 मान रहा हूँ. So you see, 12 billion tons has been discovered, and 25 is the figure. So there is 13 billion tons of oil and oil equivalent which is remaining untapped and which has to be taken out from the Mother Earth. Now, having said this, government undertook a lot of policy, even the open acreage licensing policy in 2016, where the revenue sharing model was introduced. There was a national seismic program, which was because many of the sedimentary basins of the country did not have the sufficient geological or geophysical data. Government undertook national seismic program NSP1, wherein almost 47,000 line kilometers of 2D seismic data was acquired. After that, along with National Seismic Program, there was another very important step which was mentioned today by Dr. Saraswat and Mr. Sachiv Kumar also in their introductory remarks, that lot of these data, lot of these sedimentary basins, almost 49% of the sedimentary basins lies in our offshore area. When I say offshore, it is both shallow water, deep water, and ultra deep water. That is up to 400 meters, we call it shallow water, then deep water, 400 to 1500 meters, and beyond 1500 meters, it is ultra deep. Government undertook a lot of efforts to free these no-go zones, and I am happy to share with you that 99% of the entire offshore area has been freed from the clutches of, the earlier defense restrictions, or whether it was Department of Space restrictions, DRDO restrictions. So that's a very significant step. So the entire offshore area up to exclusive economic zone, that is 200 nautical miles, is now open for exploration. A lot of data has been generated. Almost 80,000 line kilometer of data has been generated in these basins. And now the data interpretation is going on, and it is felt that a lot of hope and promise is lying in Andaman Basin, in Mahanadi Basin, and in Bengal Offshore Basin. Now, all these three basins are potential for future gas, because the type of organic matter, the type of, the kerogen, because geological studies have been carried out, geochemical studies have been carried out, they show that the kerogen or the organic matter is mainly gas-prone. So with this, it is our job as an explorationist to infuse capital into upstream, exploration in our country. We have to maximize exploration in these basins. Having said so, not only the offshore parts, we also need to go deeper in the on-land parts. We need to have the different techniques where the category 1 basins are producing. So it has to be a multi-pronged approach. We need to acquire new areas. We need to venture into frontier areas where the new deposits of oil and gas could be found, and also invest in the category 1 basins where the plays are already established. So more, I think I will be sharing my thoughts when I am also a panelist here, and Mr. Tiwari will be, I think, has a few questions, and I can take a few questions from the audience at the end of the session also. So as I am representing the Director General of Hydrocarbons from Exploration and the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, one thing I can tell you that oil and gas is going to be relevant for the next 2 to 3 decades. There is no substitute. We need more exploration, along with more, the more capital which is actually plowed back into the exploration. One thing is India has 26 sedimentary basins, and only 7 are currently the producing basins. There are 5 category 2 basins waiting to be upgraded into category 1 basin. So in order to upgrade those category 2 basins into category 1 basin, you need exploration, you need capital. So, so I am an eternal optimist. I am sure that with the progressive policies, and a lot of progressive reforms have taken place in terms of, policy reforms in HELP, that's the hydrocarbon exploration licensing policy. And government wants that more areas should be given for oil and gas exploration. New areas, new frontier areas should be explored, because to rule out also any sedimentary basin, to rule out that this basin does not have the potential to generate oil and gas, we would be requiring, it is required that we actually drill few wells in those basins to prove that this basin does not have merit, it does not have any oil and gas potential. So with this, I thank once again the organizers for having me here and giving me a platform where I could share some thoughts, some perspectives with you all. You all are representing mostly from the midstream and the downstream. I'm very privileged and honored to be amidst you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Dr. Nag, for the keynote address. So, we can start our session, and if Dr. Sharma, I can come first to you. What role do you see for the domestic gas production and LNG in meeting the requirement? And again, the theme of today's session is 2050. So, in the long term, how do you see LNG meeting our requirement? What share do you think of domestic gas?
We have to really look into the history of natural gas versus petroleum products. We are basically a petroleum product consuming country and not a natural gas consuming country, to be very frank. Because if I go back to history, in 1990s, we thought natural gas being a byproduct of oil, and obviously it should be available free of cost to the people or to the industry. Then hardly we sold natural gas in those days in early 90s at around $0.5 per million BTU, which was even 1/5 or 1/6 of an oil price. Now that is the kind of theory or the history with which we have lived with till 2000. And obviously, gas could not form a major share. We keep talking about 1999, we brought a energy policy where we placed natural gas to be at around 20% of the total energy consumption. But yes, that could not happen. Why we started LNG way back in 1995, where the first committee was formed in Planning Commission, and we found that, yes, the kind of gas requirement which is there in next 10 to 15 years to come, that cannot be met from the domestic gas, and that's how we started with talking about LNG and learning about LNG, that yes, in case power and fertilizer plants have to really to be fed up fully, they would need additional gas, and that can come only in the form of LNG. Now, the background of import of LNG was basically because we were using in 95, 96, we were using about 6 million tons of naphtha for both gas-based power plants as well as fertilizer plants for fuel and feedstock. So that was one of the background with which we started with thinking about LNG imports. Yes, we started the work and government made Petronet LNG as one of the vehicle which could import, a government entity which could import LNG. But one of the major thing which I was really wondering, the pace with which we could have gone with LNG and looking at the gas production in early 2000, yes, the pace with which we would have gone for, with LNG imports, we have really not achieved that because as far as my assumption in those days in 1995, 2000 was that yes, domestic gas production may grow, but it may not grow substantially as compared to what needs we do have in future. In fact, that time we were producing around 80 million standard cubic meter of gas in early, and we of course had contracted 7.5 million tons of LNG with Gas of Qatar, which was close to about 35, 40 million standard cubic meters, and subsequently we grew. But yes, with 15% kind of total volume of natural gas in total energy, yes, we need much more LNG given the current volume of gas being produced in the country. And recently we have worked on an exercise where what we think is that in case if you want to have 15% of share in gas, fine, I mean, you have to have at least 600 million standard cubic meter of gas. That will be close to about 200 BCM of natural gas. And what really the mechanism you could follow is that in case you want to have a gas-based economy, then one has to replace the petroleum products, CNG, PNG, then LPG also have to be replaced. The transport sector, 30% replacement could happen for both motor spirit and diesel. The furnace oil could be replaced to about 50%. Then naphtha could be replaced in some places to about 20 to 30%. And LPG should be replaced by about 50% because yes, if you bring in the LNG and LPG is replaced by LNG in PNG sector, fine. I mean, you not only make a lot of money as monetary advantage, but also you have you create a gas-based economy replacing LPG, and of course emissions are also much lower in LNG or regasified LNG compared to LPG. So yes, we had estimated about 70 million tons of petroleum product demand, current as well as future demand, whereby you could reach somewhere close to about 140, 150 billion cubic meter of total gas demand. Now, what is really hindering us to replace petroleum products which are much more costlier compared to the imported LNG? That we have to really analyze and yes, reduce our share of petroleum product and increase our natural gas demand in time to come. We do have currently 8 LNG terminal with 50 million tons of total capacity, but yes, whether they could be used fully going forward in next 5 years time frame, that's an area one has to look for. We also have to make a large number of long-term LNG contract because that would create a base load capacity, and on spot contracts, because the price fluctuation is going to be much larger, that would not be right as far as meeting the base load demand is concerned. So I believe that yes, we could achieve 200 billion cubic meter of gas demand, but then we have to take efforts. Gas is always going to be cheaper compared to petroleum products, and the indexation which is being there at around 12% slope works out to about 30 to 35% cheaper compared to the petroleum product. And I think we should, if not 2030, but 2035, we should aim to reach a 200 billion cubic meter of gas demand, replacing petroleum products wherever feasible. It is feasible to do, because if we just have a look at the history of China, 20 years back, the gas production and gas demand of China and India was around 30 to 35 billion cubic meter. Today, China's total gas supplies or gas demand is 375 billion cubic meter. The oil consumption is about 750 million tons, so they have been able to reach 50% of their oil consumption. Our total oil demand is close to about 250 million ton, but gas consumption is about 66 billion cubic meter. So that's 20-25% of our total oil consumption. We should be able to reach in next 5 years time frame to about 150 billion cubic meter of gas demand, and subsequently going forward to reach about 15% of the total volume.
So Dr. Sharma, thanks a lot. So you are saying around 150 BCM by 2030 and 200 BCM by 2035. Perfect. So Dr. Nag, if I come to you, in your keynote address, you said 90% of sedimentary basin is still not explored much, and we have a big, around 25 MTOE of YTF, yet to find resources. I mean, you being a exploration guy, you did spend a lot of time. I mean, what do you think we need to do to increase exploration and create production from these areas?
Yeah, very pertinent question, Mr. Tiwari. I think in my initial remarks, I made that around 25 billion tons of oil equivalent is our current resources, okay? That's the risk resources. Now, this study was carried out in 2016, 2017. After that, lot of new data, geological and geophysical data, has come for many sedimentary basins. So currently, this figure of 25 itself is, again, putting us whether that's the realistic assessment of the Indian sedimentary basins or not. Because at that time, as I mentioned in my remarks, the no-go zones were there in the offshore area, and up to 200 nautical miles, both on the east coast and west coast of India, data was not there. After that, 80,000 line kilometer of data has come. 22,000 of data, seismic data around Andaman Basin has come. So these are the result of the efforts which government undertook to release these no-go areas. So now we are into a phase of data-driven exploration. So as per me, we have to venture into the frontier areas. That's the Andaman Basin. Yes, we have few wells drilled by the national oil companies, ONGC and Oil India, but they were mainly in the shallow water section. I just wanted to share with you that last 1.5 years, there has been a spate of discoveries in South Andaman Basin, which is almost the northern part of Sumatra, which is a prolific oil and gas field. And Andaman Basin is surrounded by proven petroliferous basins. You have all those oil and gas fields which are proven. Now, as per geological assessment and analogy, it should also have, we have seen the seismic data where large structures are seen. But we need to drill actually few wells in those fields to prove what are these structures, what type of fluid is existing in these type of structures. So what I want to share is, the focus now has shifted from land to offshore. After the no-go zones has been removed, data has been acquired. Lot of international companies, I would not name, but they have evinced interest. They have bought the data from the National Data Repository. Just one more point I want to mention, that 2015-16, around 2015, when government came out with this HELP, that's the Hydrocarbon Exploration Licensing Policy, there were, the National Seismic Program, government wanted to acquire 2D seismic data in most of the unappraised areas in the country. Government also set up National Data Repository. Till then, till 2016, there was no database of the geoscientific data of our country. The entire seismic data, the entire well data, the log data, the geochemical data, everything was with the respective operators who were operating, whether it is the national oil companies, whether it is the ONGC or Oil India or Reliance. So a need was felt that we must have a national data repository. So 2015-16, again that national data repository was set up at the Directorate General of Hydrocarbons. National Seismic Program was carried out. Now, that National Seismic Program was also not sufficient to cover the entire sedimentary basins because of certain areas being very, very logistically challenging, geologically very undulating topography. You know, the northeast terrain, the fold belt areas, Manipur, Mizoram, parts of Tripura, where the conventional seismic could not be done. Government undertook the airborne gravity gradiometry survey. So, these type of policies, these type of, government-funded efforts, yes, this is the point. These were all government-funded efforts. And recently also, government has funded stratigraphic wells in frontier areas to know the potential of oil and gas in those fields. So a lot of things on exploration front has happened during the last 4 or 5 years. The data is there. Now it is up to the oil company, it is up to the upstream E&P operators who can partner with international operators also, come to India, explore, and there's a lot of ease of doing business, a lot of policy reforms. It's time, it's the right time to actually put money in these areas because government also has recently approved 3,200 crores for 4 stratigraphic wells in offshore areas. So you see, government is also trying to, support that in order to have the maximum potential known of these sedimentary basins, it is important to actually drill in these areas. So having said that, yes, it is not only maximizing exploration in the new areas, but also in the producing basins, that is the 7 producing basins in Bombay or in Assam. There are many places which are still remaining at a deeper depth. So the deeper depth, the Mesozoic section, the basement section, still holds a lot of potential. So all these will be in coming years, exploration will get intensified in Indian exploration landscape.
So, Dr. Nag, I mean, you explained very well the government policies of HELP or OALP on the exploration side. One related question, I mean, whatever exploration discoveries we have, what is needed to move them into development and production stage?
See, it depends on where the discovery is made. If you have a discovery very close to a already discovered field, it will require some sort of, a different approach. If the discovery is made on land in a part which is remote and isolated, that would require another approach. If the discovery is made in offshore area, which part of offshore, whether it is shallow water or deep water or ultra deep water, would require different type of approach. That from striking oil and gas to the discovery, there is a term called lead time. So as you move deep into the, the offshore areas, like into ultra deep water or in deep water, at least 6 to 8 years remain. 8 years are required to develop that discovery. If you see the historically also, and nowadays, if you see the Guyana discovery, the Suriname discovery, the discoveries all along the west coast, it took almost 7 to 8 years to discover them. Because you require the infrastructure. It will depend upon the volume of oil or gas. The volume of hydrocarbons is a very, very critical element. Unless the volumes are sufficient enough, the techno-economic viability cannot be worked out. So in case you have a discovery, but if the volumes do not allow, the techno-economics to be feasible, then they will not be, monetized. They cannot be discovered. They cannot be exploited. They cannot be brought. Now, suppose in Andaman, I am getting a discovery in a water depth of, say, 2.5 or 3 kilometers water depth. How much volume of oil and gas should be required to make it economically viable? Because the distance from transporting the oil or gas from Andaman to the mainland India, will it be, techno-economically viable? Will the techno-economics work out? Or it will be easier if we transport the gas to Myanmar or to Thailand or to, Indonesia. So in that case, the government support, the diplomatic initiatives at diplomacy level, government G2G level, all these will be involved. So, Mr. Tiwari, it depends upon there are many fields. There are many fields, they are discovered, but they are small. Economics, they are marginal. So that is why government also came out in 2016, we call it discovered small field policy. Already we had, and there's a discovered now, very recently, only last week, some 2 fields in Bombay offshore and 1 field in CBM has been put for auction for DSF round. So now another important point which today also Mr. Sachiv Kumarji mentioned, and there was a question also. Suppose there is a big company and a small mid-sized operator. What do you mean actually by the resource sharing? Now there is one company which is a national oil company and there is a medium-sized reporter adjacent to it who actually has also discovered. Okay, now they want a pipeline to be laid through the NOC's areas. Now why can't that facility of the NOC be shared? So government is thinking in those lines. When I say resource sharing, I mean the infrastructure, the pipelines, the plants, the installations, the surface installations, or not only these fixed installations. Could it be we can have a service hub of, say, logging, where the logging can be provided by the national oil companies to the mid-sized reporters. Like there are many small operators. The big companies can handhold them. So all these government is now contemplating, government is now thinking of having a resource hub, resource sharing, because there are a lot of big operators, there are also some medium-sized operators, and there are also small operators. So already in west coast of India, like there are a few companies like Sun Petro and all, and they are talking. There are Vedanta, which is a very major, private player in Indian upstream, besides ONGC and oil, of course. So all these things, resource sharing is being now thought of as a possible alternative.
So Dr. Sharma, moving to you, in audience we have a lot of people from downstream and from industrials. In case of gas and LNG, affordability and availability is a big issue, and especially in the past few years. So what advice you would give to these gas consumer or LNG consumer to overcome these challenges?
Now, that's been a big problem as far as gas prices are concerned for last 25, 30 years. And since 1997, I'd been looking after this issue. What has happened is that, as I said, that gas had always been considered as a fuel which is associated or subordinate fuel, so it should be priced low compared to the oil and petroleum products. But that's not the case. Gas being a premium fuel should be priced adequately. Today, we are having half a dozen gas prices. Now, Kaustubh says that, yes, there is a deep water price, that's a premium price, and rest of the gas should not be priced at a premium label. Now, you can't differentiate between 2 different gases. If you have a shallow water gas up to 400 meter gas being produced up to 400 meter water depth, and on-land gas, even though it's a smaller pool, the prices are going to be around $6.5 per million BTU, or if it is a 400 meters water depth beyond, even if it is a 401 meters water depth, the prices is going to be $12 per million BTU. So that's not a correct way of pricing, and we have really battled this issue for last 25 years. So gas prices have to be uniform, be it somewhere close to around, let us say, what LNG prices are. LNG prices, of course, they are the oil indexed prices, they are the Brent indexed prices. Let it be 30% discount to the petroleum or oil prices, because that's the current norm at 12.5 or 12.65% slope. So let that be the gas prices, let that be the uniform gas prices. Let they be, I mean, if someone is really making a windfall gain, let government tax that company accordingly, and let there be a uniform gas prices, because yes, you do have power plants and fertilizer plants, though we could in 2004 under the nutrient-based subsidy scheme, we could really bring in a policy where fertilizer plants were permitted to take the gas at or the LNG at the market prices. And fine, I mean, the price was passed through in the urea production. So that should be the way. Let the subsidies be different, be handled by the government at a different level. Let there be one uniform price so that the gas market should develop. We have awarded 300 GAs, which is covering around 90% of India, but how the gas is going to be made available, that's a question. We should, I mean, one of the suggestions which I can have is that let that 14 rupees of excise be withdrawn, and let there be some promotional price on CNG so that you are able to replace the petroleum product in transport sector.
Perfect. I guess we are up for a time. We can take few questions from the audience, and I am sure Dr. Nag and Dr. Sharma will be available over the lunch to have offline conversation. I think there's a question from this side.
Questions, okay, we have a question here. Can we have the microphone, please? Very quickly. Yeah, yes, sir.
My name is Suneet Verma. My question is to Dr. Nag. See, US became a net exporter, being an importer of gas, so riding on the shale gas revolution. In India and China, we understand there are constraints of water, and water gets polluted and all those things. So what is your view on shale gas, exploration in India?
Mr. Sumit? Yeah, 2007, I think shale revolution started in US, and almost at that time, 20% of the US total gas production was from shale gas. So around that time, shale gas was considered to be one of the, unconventional sources of energy, and India also started its shale gas exploration journey during that time. Now, there are a couple of points which I want to mention here is, what exactly when you mean by shale gas, that the shales which are there, where basically they are, would require a lot of hydraulic fracturing, because to increase the permeability, the gas which is present in the shale gas needs to be fracked. So at that time, the policy was you frack and then you produce, but that hydraulic fracturing would require a lot of water. During that time, around 2007-8, when India started its shale gas journey in Durgapur depression, in Raniganj area of Damodar Basin, few wells were drilled. So India identified the shale gas potential around that time, and two basins were identified. One was Cambay Basin, the other was Damodar Basin. Few wells were also drilled, lot of data was also generated from that. But what happened later on was, the shale gas, when you say shale gas of US, whether it is Marcellus Shale or whether it is Bakken, Eagle Ford, they are actually shales. But in our country, they do not qualify because the brittleness of the shale, here the clay minerals, sorry, I'm becoming a little technical, the clay minerals which are present in the shell, they have plasticity. So they don't get fracked. So they are actually not shells, but still we call them shale gas. Coupled with that, there were a lot of, because those areas are highly urbanized, if you see the Jharia, the Bokaro and all, effluent disposal, the water discharge into the nearby fields also caused a lot of local resistance. So when we analyze the data, the USGS also has analyzed the data, and one thing I must tell you that still we do not have a realistic resources of shale gas potential in our country. So Government of India has given a recent mandate to us that the hydrocarbon resource assessment, I'm again repeating, the hydrocarbon resource assessment which I mentioned was last done in 2016-17 is going to be done again, along with the conventional resources. We also have the CBM resources, almost around 92 TCF, but there's a wide variation by the USGS figures. We have our own internal assessment also from 47, 55, 92. So that study will be going on. So shale gas, almost 50 wells were identified in the country, but only 5 to 6 wells could be drilled. The data has been generated, but India may, that type of shale which the US shale has, does not have those shale properties. So after that, government took a stand that no, because it has got a lot of environmental concerns and all, a lot of scientific studies were also, presented to the government. Government said, ki, temporarily the shale gas exploration is not taking place, but there is a thought, I'm repeating, that shale gas exploration will be revived along with gas hydrates also. Gas hydrates also is considered to be another potential source of energy in the offshore. So government is again mulling over to revive this shale gas exploration and gas hydrate along with other forms like geothermal and all.
Thank you, Dr. Nag.
Yeah, in fact, the brittleness is one of the major criteria for fracking the shells. And if your brittleness is more than 50-55%, the shells are frackable. But Indian shales are not having that label of brittleness, and the frackability is not possible. And that's one of the major reasons why Indian shales are not that having that potential as the US. They all Devonian shales, and our shales are not that old.
Thank you, sir. Now, there's a question which is flashing here. This has been asked by 6 people, that Andaman Basin profile is believed to be similar to North Sea. Can we expect first oil stroke gas from this field? Anyone? Andaman Basin profile is believed to be harnessed to fulfill the electricity demand of... now, first question was Andaman Basin profile is believed to be similar to North Sea. Can we expect first oil gas from this field?
I don't know the gentleman's name, Andaman Basin. Andaman Basin is a very loose term. You see, geologically, Andaman Basin consists of certain tectonic elements, we call it. The eastern part of Andaman Basin is completely different from the western part of Andaman Basin. In geologically, we have a term called fore-arc basin, then we have a volcanic arc and back-arc basin. When I say Andaman Basin, yes, there is a potential in the back-arc basin where sufficient heat flow is there, which could have matured, which could have cooked the organic matter. So the South Andaman Basin, which is actually in the back-arc basin of Andaman, has got a lot of potential. And the discoveries which I mentioned, Tangkulo, and Layaran discovery and Timpan discovery, which have been made in South Andaman Basin over the past 1 year, almost, you see, 3 to 5 TCF of gas has been reported. So these discoveries were made by Mubadala Energy of Abu Dhabi. They have carried out drilling and they have got huge deposits of gas. So similar analogy, the back-arc basin of Andamani is similar to what these discoveries also as per the tectonic setting. Yes.
Dr. Nag, there's another question which says that can the basin in South Andaman be harnessed to fulfill the electricity demand of...
Yeah, first we have to drill and to know that how much amount of gas is there. So what we call as what is the in-place volume of gas. then we will be able to work out the techno-economics of. If the structures are completely filled with gas, which we presently see, we need to confirm by drilling actually some wells in those basins. And only, the back arc basin is totally unexplored. The back arc basin in the South Andaman basin is unexplored. So all the national oil companies, along with a lot of global majors, have partnered. They are analyzing the geological and geophysical data. Yes, Andaman basin, because of its analogy with similar type of basins in the world, holds lot of promise and potential. That much, as a geologist, I can share with you for the time being.
Wow. So now, Jaimin Shah asks this question, what is the expected domestic gas production level over next 5 years from current levels of approximately 90 MMS CMD, and how much percentage of it will be APM gas?
What is the question?
What is expected, or the question is, can we go back, please?
Okay.
Basically, about the gas production to be
Dr.
coming
Sharma,
in. And there it is. What is expected domestic gas production level over next 5 years from current? That's the question from Jaimin Shah.
So what is the expected gas production in next 5 years?
Next 5 years, the country's domestic gas production is projected to reach around 45 BCM. From 34, 38, 40, and then 45.
So 40 to
45.
45 to 50. Is that what you are saying?
Around 45, 46 BCM.
Okay, so with that, we thank you for sharing us the insights on this very interesting subject and how can India enhance its gas supply portfolio. Thank you, Dr. Kaustav Nag. Thank you, Dr. S.C. Sharma. Thank you, Dr. Jai Tiwari. Zordar taaliyan ho jaye, please. May I request Mr. Kushal Sharma and to kindly come up onto the stage, and we felicitate our esteemed panel. Very enriching. Yeah. Dr. Kaustav Nag, first of all. Zordar taaliyan ho jaye, please. Additional Director General Exploration, Director General of Hydrocarbons, Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. Dr. S.C. Sharma, formerly Officer on Special Duty, Energy and Climate Change, Government of India. Shri Jai Tiwari, Director Relationship Management, South Asia, S&P Global Commodity Insights. Harmandeep ji, can I invite you for a photo op, please? Kulbir ji, Dr. Balian, can we join you here, please? Can we have a photograph? That is something which is going to stay with us to remind that we were here on the 30th of May, 2024. Thank you so very much